Coming up tonight on YCN News, the Claremont Speedway races to expand, but not without opposition. Vermont gets federal aid to help reduce drug addiction in the state. And Claremont and Newport face off in baseball, part of a known town rivalry. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN News, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, July 8th. I'm Kurt Weedy, and welcome to YCN News. Claremont residents opposed to an expansion plan by the owners of the Claremont Speedway racetrack will have to wait a bit longer to be heard by the city board that will give the racetrack the green or red flag. Not enough members of the Claremont Zoning Board of Adjustment showed up for a hearing on the proposal, according to the Eagle Times newspaper. The expansion ideas of the track, located off Thrasher Road, include up to 200 campsites, 2 swimming pools, and a recreation field. A date for the next public hearing is 7 p.m. Monday, August 3rd at City Hall. ZBA board members in attendance on Monday were Dave Nichols and Carolyn Toll. A quorum had been expected until the last minute, forcing the meeting's cancellation Monday night. Written comments regarding the expansion can be sent ahead of time in case a person cannot attend. If you are interested, you can write to the Planning and Development Department at 14 North Street, Claremont, New Hampshire, 03743. The medical director of the Atlanta-based Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says since 2007 that heroin use is up by 150%. According to the CDC's Dr. Thomas Frieden, people may become addicted to heroin if they first use and become addicted to painkillers, such as oxycodone. Vermont Governor Peter Shumlin highlighted the heroin increase in his State of the Union speech, which drew national attention. Now, a federal grant may help Vermont in its efforts to curb drug addiction. Now, the grant is just shy of $12.5 million. Coming from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the money will go to Vermont's Regional Prevention Partnerships Program. Now, this state program is geared for 12 to 25-year-olds to fight alcohol and drug abuse. The grant will allow the state program to expand its services to 11 out of Vermont's 14 counties. U.S. Senator from Vermont Patrick Leahy says the federal grant recognizes Vermont stepping up to treat and curb addiction. Senator Leahy joined Governor Shumlin in Montpelier to announce the grant award. Well, in case you haven't noticed, road work and bridge repair in the Twin States continues this summer. With that, drivers need to slow down to posted speeds, look out for road crews, and as always, keep their focus on the road ahead of them. Work along Interstate 89 near Hartford, Vermont is ongoing. One driver yesterday reached for a French fry, which led to a collision with another car, report Vermont State Police. 24-year-old Memory Apata of Lebanon, New Hampshire, was driving behind 27-year-old Jared Lundquist of Pomfret, Vermont, when she reached for the French fry, thus taking her eyes off the road and hitting Lundquist's Chevrolet Silverado. Both drivers were in fact wearing seatbelts, with the only damage being front end damage to the Honda Fit and rear section damage to the Silverado. The accident happened yesterday around 4:30 p.m., and neither driver was injured. Police issued Apata a civil violation complaint for driving too fast for the current road conditions. Also in Upper Valley news in Hartford, Vermont, home values are increasing, which is a good sign for the town. Property taxes may still rise, report the Valley News, but not as much as residents heard during the annual March town meeting. Select Board Chairman Chuck Worcester reviewed the grand list numbers yesterday night. With all figures in, the board set the municipal tax rate at 91 cents and education property taxes at $1.51 for a total of $2.42 per $100 of taxable property value. Well, coming up next on YCN News, affordable housing in Brattleboro, Vermont is on the rise. Stick around for that story.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Kurt Weedy. From 3 to 0, then back to 2. Well, this next story shows how difficult it can be to find people who will run for elected town or city office. Serving out the term can be difficult. It took a court appointment by a Grafton County Superior Court judge to fill 2 vacancies on the Orange, New Hampshire Select Board. Earlier this spring, the board's 3 members had stepped down, leaving no one officially in charge of the town's oversight. One man who voluntarily resigned said he was tired of the ongoing hostility on the board. Now, that same man, Bob Ells, is back on the board per Judge Lawrence McLeod's appointment. So is Skip Smith, who last served 30 years ago. The 2 new members will find a 3rd board member. About 327 people live in Orange, according to the Valley News. Well, New Hampshire's motto of live free or die can play out in many different strange ways. Governor Maggie Hassan's veto of a bill that would have allowed for carrying of concealed weapons may bring foes of that veto to the state capitol this weekend. The New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is holding a rally on Saturday to protest the governor's veto, according to the Associated Press. With the veto, state laws mandating a separate license for a concealed weapon remain in place. That goes along with a license to carry a gun in plain sight. And across the river in Brattleboro, homeowners in the town now have an opportunity to rent out parts of their home to tenants who wish to live in affordable apartments. Vermont Public Radio reports that a nonprofit group, Brattleboro Area Affordable Housing, aims to combat the high housing costs through a program called Apartments and Homes, which has been in effect since 2003. As part of this ongoing program, willing homeowners can receive up to $4,000 to convert part of their home into a livable apartment, which can then be rented out. This money is collected through the town's income and the affordable housing group, but also requires the homeowner to invest some of their own money, as the $4,000 grant does not cover the full cost of the renovation. It has been reported that there has not been a big rush of homeowners looking to invest and convert part of their home, but there has been a slowly increasing interest in the idea. So far, around 45 apartments have been created in Brattleboro, and other towns in Vermont have tried similar programs. Well, after the break on YCN News, Kearsarge Chronicle's Sean Bowman spoke with Rebecca Corser of the Warner Historical Society about a summer book reading series. We'll have that conversation for you when YCN News continues. Stick around.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Mike Pizzone. Well, it turned into a pretty nice one out there despite all that humidity, and it looks like we're in for more sun over the next few days. Skies will remain partly cloudy this evening with calming winds and temperatures bottoming out at around 56 degrees. Those clouds will stick around for the majority of the day tomorrow, making for partly sunny skies with a high of 75 degrees, before areas of patchy fog move in for the evening with a low of around 58. And Friday looks like a perfect way to end the work week with bright sunny skies and a high of 81 during the day and a nice comfortable low of around 60 Friday evening. Now let's take a look at our community calendar to see what's happening in the area. The Ladies Auxiliary of the Croydon Fire Department will hold its weekly bingo night tomorrow beginning at 6:30 p.m. at the Claremont Senior Center off Maple Avenue in Claremont, New Hampshire. The event is open to anyone ages 18 or older. The Claremont Farmers Market will be held Thursday from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Broad Street Park in Claremont, New Hampshire. A variety of local vendors will be on hand offering meats, eggs, vegetables, and much more. The market will be held rain or shine and also features live music. The St. Mary's Nolan Murray Center on Pleasant Street in Springfield, Vermont is hosting a pig roast on Friday from 5 to 8 p.m. The menu will also include coleslaw, potato salad, and beverages. Cost is $15 for adults and $6 for children under 10. Well, it's always a rivalry when Newport and Claremont face off, and just because it's summer, that doesn't mean yesterday's Junior Babe Ruth baseball game was any less intense. Claremont headed onto its opponent's home field with just one loss on its record, and despite leading by just a single run by the start of the 4th inning, the visiting team took control from there on its way to a 12-3 victory. Claremont crossed the plate 6 times in the decisive 4th, beginning with the sacrifice fly off the bat of Brendan Bean that played to Drew Grenier from 3rd. Aiden Cahill made it a 6-3 game when this single up the middle plated Noah Spalding, before a wild pitch with Trey Terriall at the plate allowed Cahill to score, and a hard-hit double moments later cleared the bases to up Claremont's lead to 9-3. Claremont added one more run later in the inning after a pitching change, and 2 more in the 7th to round out the game's scoring. Grenier earned the win from the mound in 3 innings of work, allowing 2 earned runs on 3 hits while striking out 3. Newport crossed the plate with its first run of the game in the bottom of the first on this hard-hit shot off the bat of Cody Turgeon to knot things up at 1-1, before Daniel Lee's bomb to left center in the bottom of the third pulled the home team to within 4-3. Newport starting pitcher Logan Berry threw well through 4 1/3 innings despite suffering the loss, and his defense played well behind him against the Claremont squad with plenty of speed on the base paths. Claremont also got things done on the diamond behind Grenier, including some solid scoops from Bean at first base. Bean drove in a pair of runs in the contest, while Terriel also finished with a pair of RBI. Claremont is now 6-1 and will host Sunapee today, while Newport fell to 3-3 and will travel to face Windsor tomorrow. That does it for YCN Sports. I'm Mike Pizzone.
Thanks, Mike. Well, tonight we bring you the next part of Capital Connections host John O'Connor's interview with Senator Jerry Little of New Hampshire. We'll pick up with part 3 of that conversation when we come back. Stick around.
The YCN News continues in a moment.